Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to the National Taiwan Museum. My name is Max and I'm going to be your guide today. We're going to do a general overview of the building's architecture and history outside and inside, and we are also going to cover one of our permanent exhibitions, which is the Formosa flag. As you can see, there's a replica here, and we will be going up to the second floor to talk more about that. So welcome again, and I'm excited to take you around. Okay, follow me this way. All right, it's a hot day, so I'm sorry for keeping you out here. We'll only be a couple minutes outside, so if you could just follow me, watch your step down the stairs, be careful not to slip or fall. No accidents on my tours, it's a proven track record so far. So yes, thank you for coming. So as you can see, the National Taiwan Museum is beautifully situated near the 228 Peace Park. And also near Taipei Main Station. It is very, very centrally located. And you can see a variety of trees and palms here. So really, really gorgeous place to spend your day. All right. And you can see those two big metal objects encasing. And those are two giant locomotives that we'll be talking about. And these locomotives have a lot to do with the origins of National Taiwan Museum. So let's make our way over there and I'll talk a little more about it. I hope everyone has enjoyed their time in Taiwan so far.
Yes!
Get a chance to explore the nearby coffee shops, night markets, restaurants. There's so much to do and eat here. So yeah, if you could make your eyes to the right side here, you'll see these two locomotives, giant locomotives, imported from Germany in 1888 from the Hohenzollern Company. These were known as the Tengyun Express, and they were imported by the Qing Dynasty, by the Qing Emperor. And you can see there are these, pretty developed for the time locomotives, and they were called the Tengyun Express, like I think I previously mentioned. And does anyone know, what does Tengyun Express mean?
Cloud.
Yeah, yun is cloud, right? So in Chinese, it means to ride or soar over the clouds. So it indicates this sort of like speed and this technology that is almost magical, right? So you could imagine that it was a pretty fast train for the time. So could anyone guess, how fast do you think this train went?
100 kilometers an hour.
It's pretty fast. 100 miles? No, not quite there. So it actually went 35 kilometers an hour, which was pretty slow. Probably a galloping horse could reach that pace pretty easily. And the Qing Dynasty actually did have somewhat of a rail system developed here, but it was quite, inconsistent. There were some times where people had to get out of the car and push the train up. And not all the train lines were connected, but when the Japanese came here and founded this museum during the Japanese colonial era from 1895 to 1945, this sort of was a symbol of their new development and progress, right? So you see these here, and in 1908, the Japanese built the trunk line railroad, which went from the top of the island. If you imagine this as Taiwan, it went from the north all the way down to the south on the west coast. So this was a very major step in terms of Taiwan's economic infrastructural development. And to commemorate this, they decided to build a museum in 1908. And this museum was originally in the Lottery Division building, which was a governing administrative building. But that unfortunately burned down in 1945 in the Taihoku air raids. So yeah, this is the Tengyun Express. So take one last look and we'll make over to the main building. All right. So if everyone could follow me. Yes, so has anyone tried bubble tea or any Taiwanese specialties yet?
Yeah.
I love bubble tea.
Yes, bubble tea is so good, and you'll find plenty of stores around the city to get it at.
What's the best one?
My personal favorite is probably 50 Lan or 50 Lan. I love their fruit teas, and their green tea is delicious. So yeah, and you'll start to see, if you can just take a glance at these columns, these giant Doric columns as we come up. you can see that this is definitely not a traditionally Japanese or a traditionally Taiwanese or Chinese building, right? What does this look like to you?
European.
European.
Parthenon.
Yeah, the Parthenon. It's very much a reminiscent of like antiquity, right? So ancient Rome, ancient Greece, with the big columns, and just like the portico on top, the triangular portico. So you'll notice the architecture is definitely modeled after that antiquity style. And the reason for that is, I think, there's several reasons why they built it in this way, right? Firstly, it is a symbol of sort of colonial strength, right? I think objectively, it projects power of the Japanese colonial administration here in Taiwan. They really wanted to visualize Taiwan as this model colony, and to not only show its objective power, but also show specifically to European colonial powers that they were capable of running sort of a quote-unquote proper or civilized colony. And architecture was a very big way of doing that. So this was built in the neoclassical style on the exterior, and the main sort of material used in this frame is actually reinforced concrete. Not very common for the time, and actually this was sort of another symbol of sort of the flexibility that the main architect Ichiro Nomura had in building this, right? So it was sort of not really well looked upon to build something like this in Japan, but since Taiwan was sort of this new place that needed this building to be built, it was a great opportunity to try that out. Okay, so I think we're good on that, and I'm going to point out one more fact to you before we head into the building. So if you turn your eyes over there and step over and take a look at the street, the name of this road is Guanqianlu, or Guanqian Road, and originally the old Taipei main station, which is now another branch of the museum, is on the other side over there, and you'll notice that there's sort of that visual connection, right? You can see it, or what it was, all the way down there. And the reason for that is they wanted to model the sort of central infrastructure of Taipei to Tokyo's infrastructure, right? Because Tokyo main station has a very proximal view of the Imperial Palace. So yeah, it's an interesting little fact there. So let's move on in, get you into some AC, which I'm sure all of you are looking forward to in this sweltering autumn day.
It's too hot out here.
It is too hot. So again, take a look at the columns. And yes, and as you climb the stairs, watch your step, and just a couple rules before we head in. Please no food or beverages and no flash photography. Feel free to take pictures, but do not record videos. All right, thank you. All right, we're gonna head in. Going to use my member card to get in. Okay. And you can see architecturally, there is a bit of a difference between the outside and the inside. That you do see the difference, right? It's a bit more delicate architecture. It's more ornate, for sure. So first, I'll point out some details of the architectural motifs. You'll see around the building, there are 32 columns built in the composite style, which combines both the Ionic and the Corinthian orders. Most of them are gilded, but if you look way at that one of them is actually blank. This is sort of just to show a few remnants of what the museum looked like before the Japanese left, right? And after the Japanese left, these gilded elements were added. So 32 columns, and I'm actually gonna bring you over here. And as you take a look around, I want you to ask yourself, is there anything sort of interesting, sort of special, something that kind of sticks out to you in this main lobby room? Maybe. There's a lot of things. Yeah, I mean, there's these empty sort of nooks here, right? With these bases, with these sort of like steel rods that are like missing something. So these were actually the statues of the Governor General Kodama Gentaro and Goto Shinpei, who was the civil administrator at the time the museum was built. So yeah, their statues were here, and now they are up on the third floor, just to give them sort of a less prominent position, but still allowing visitors to explore the history. So yeah, you can see that there, and you can actually see more of their sort of legacy in this building if you look at some of the motifs around this lobby. So I'm gonna bring you to these little lamps up here. So if you look very closely, the one on my left here has Goto Shinpei's family crest on it. And a lot of prominent Japanese families would have this crest. So, you know, these two, you know, very high civil administrators had them as well. So you can see on my left, it's sort of like a wreath, right? A plant wreath. And then on the right, Kodama Gentaro's is sort of this gunbai or war fan. So yeah, you can see their remnants up here. And also at the very, very top, Taiwan's largest skylight also has them. So if you notice the green leaves in the middle, making that wreath shape, that would be Goto Shinpei's, and then the blue wreaths are Kodama Gentaro's. So yes, we are going to continue now. Let's see, so we covered all the interior architecture here. So now I'd like you to bring you to the stairs, all right? So you can see these stairs are very ornate as well. They're quite fancy, right? And if you could actually give a try at like touching, feeling the material there, you'll notice that very hard. If you give it a knock, it's quite solid, right? And it's also quite cold to the touch, right? So you'll notice that that's actually imported Japanese marble that was carved in Japan and brought over here. And again, it's sort of this symbol of solidity in the colonial administration, that they knew what they were doing, right? So yeah, and the marble lines all of these like stair railings. So we can actually make our way up right now. And again, watch your step, please. Okay. I have yet to master the art of walking upstairs backwards as a tour guide, so you have to excuse me. It would be pretty ironic if I was the one who tripped and fell and not you. So yeah. Okay, yeah, the marble, very, very fancy. And this is a great opportunity to look at either side of this sort of material that wraps the walls and the staircase here. You'll notice that the marble here and this other material looks very, very different, right? Similar but different. Similarly patterned, but maybe different in texture. You can actually give these walls a feel as well. So does anyone want to guess what material these walls are made out of?
Wood.
Concrete.
Wood, concrete, yeah, good guesses. So they're actually made out of plaster. So at one point, when the war started, when World War II started, the Japanese did not have enough money to bring more marble and wrap the museum in all the marble that was used for the stairs. So instead, they used a very special technique of using plaster and hand-painted sort of motifs to imitate the look of the marble on the other side. So yeah, it's very interesting. And now, because of this heritage, because it is very difficult to replicate this style, the plaster wall is actually worth more than the marble. So very interesting. Apparently there was about 20 different combinations of sort of paint that they tried to use to replicate this, and it took a lot of time and a lot of money. So yeah, it's very, very rare to see something like this. So yeah, and you can see, you know, this more motifs across the walls, and you'll see these circular windows if you look to my left here. So these were called bullseye windows, and they sort of are also reminiscent of this European style, and not to mention, I think it would be good to mention this now, there's very different architectural styles everywhere. You like combinations of columns, different materials. This is what we would call eclecticism, and it's sort of like the general style of this museum, just because there's so many different influences coming around. But anyways, back to the window. So you'll see arrangement of different fruits. Anyone? What fruits do you notice on the window here? Bananas, you'll see pineapples, wax apples, star fruits, and this all contributes to what the Japanese wanted Taiwan to look like, which was this bountiful tropical island. just to show how exotic it is and how it's a valuable colony to Japan. And if you look outside, it might be a little difficult to view here, but there are actually palm trees lining the outside, and those palm trees are not native to Taiwan. They were actually gathered from Hawaii. Those are called royal palms. And yeah, just another fun fact. You'll also see them at the National Taiwan University, or NTU. Okay, yeah, so at this point, we're going to go into the flag room, and we're going to talk about the history of the Formosan Republic. Yeah, and as you can see, it's just flooding with light. You know, it's just a very airy, beautiful, elegant room. So I hope you all take the time to explore more exhibitions today. The National Taiwan Museum has exhibitions on natural history, as well as some indigenous history as well. Okay. So this is the flag of the Republic of Formosa, which was in 1895, in between the Japanese cession of the Treaty of Shimonoseki and the Qing era of Taiwan's history. So you can see it's this big lion, right, with these wide pupils and the blue background. So this flag this is actually a digital reconstruction of the original flag. There's actually quite a history with these replicas, right? One of the treasures that is held in the National Taiwan Museum, which was designated in 2016, is the replica of this flag. So yeah, it's a very interesting history. And yeah, so you can see there's this one side here, but actually in the around 2010, they started doing more research on this flag, and they discovered a lot of things about it. And one of those things, if you take a look at the backside here with me, is that this flag is actually double-sided. And what you'll see in this digital reconstruction is that the pupils are a little different, right? And that represents like the cat's eyes going wide and shrinking based on different light conditions. And that represents the tiger watching over Taiwan day and night, right? So the flag is actually shrouded in quite a bit of mystery. None of the true originals of this flag exist to our knowledge, right? And there was one that was given to the Japanese Empire in the early 1900s as a booty or like a bounty of Taiwan. But it was, we don't have the original flag as of now. But this is nonetheless a valuable treasure of the National Taiwan Museum. And it's, one of the most famous things in this museum. So you'll see it in our gift shop, and a lot of people use it as a motif that represents Taiwan on various objects. For example, back at home, I have a tile coaster that has this picture of the flag on it. So I think it's a really great design. This is the flag of Formosa, one of the symbols of our museum, and this is where we'll be ending our tour. So I would like to thank everyone for coming today. Please make sure to take a look at all the other exhibitions that we have, both permanent and temporary. And I would encourage you to fill out a survey, which will give us great feedback in the future. And again, thank you so much.